Out from absolutely nowhere, Christopher Nkunku is a favourite to sign for Bayern Munich, and right now we are trying to engineer a move for Mathys Tel. Tonight, my friends, this is definitely Nini After Dark because, wow, I can't believe I'm recording a news video at like 12 AM in the morning. I was out, I came back to see a ridiculous amount of stories that I just couldn't comfortably ignore without getting this video out before I go to bed. So I hope you guys rate the dedication because big things are set to happen in January. Hope you guys enjoy, man. Hit that like button and let's break down all today's massive updates and massive stories. Let's get one tiny update out the way involving Deportivo winger and yeremay Hernandez. As we know, we are still actively looking to finalize a deal for the talented winger, and at the moment, of course, something is definitely happening behind the scenes as the player hasn't necessarily said yes to us, but is open to leaving Deportivo in January for the right projects and for the right opportunities. As we're learning right now, very interestingly, but there's a possibility that yeremay could find himself at Strasbourg. But if that was to happen, that's going to rely upon Strasbourg having to release a loanee to have a new loan player come in. Now, their manager and Liam Rosano is very much open to work with yeremay, and reports reveal the fact that potentially Caleb Wiley could be sacrificed because he's currently dealing with a shoulder injury at the moment, be out for the next few weeks. So realistically, he could return back to us, stay here, get a new loan move for the next summer, with yeremay replacing him there at Strasbourg. Now, Diego Moreira has reinvented himself playing as a left back this season at Strasbourg, so it's not really a massive loss if Caleb Wiley was to leave. So let's watch this space, my friends, and let's get the other quick update out the way as we discuss the latest updates surrounding Marc Guehi. Now, currently there's a bit of a price difference valuation between Crystal Palace and ourselves. Crystal Palace value Guehi at around 60 million, and they value Guehi and Chalobah at around 20 million. Now, that's important because our plan essentially this window is to sell so we can buy. And I think as we all kind of guessed already, our plan is to sell Chalobah and include him in that deal to allow Crystal Palace to sell Marc Guehi to us. But the valuation difference is quite steep right now. I feel sorry for Chalobah getting played around again, but essentially we're using him against Crystal Palace. We're threatening Crystal Palace record Chalobah, affecting their season, unless they can try and engineer a move which would involve Chalobah remaining at Palace, Guehi coming our way, and a little bit of money exchanged in between. But this type of transfer tactic from our sides is really no surprise because time is running out for Crystal Palace. They know Marc Guehi isn't signing any contract extension. It would have happened already. If they don't agree to sell him in January, his value dramatically reduces in the summer. And let's not forget the fact that we still have a sell-on clause included in that original sale that took Guehi to Crystal Palace. So as this window goes on and comes to an end, there's greater pressure on Crystal Palace to bow to our demands, hopefully find a respectable middle ground, and hopefully we could soften that blow by potentially also offering players on loan, with Crystal Palace showing strong interest in Carney Chukwuemeka. Ultimately though, to find that middle ground, it is going to require us having to sell players to generate more income, and I'll discuss the latest exit news at the end of today's reports because I think right now, get the updates out the way, let's discuss the massive breaking developments involving Nkunku and Mathys Tel. Reports are broken everywhere from Romano to Plettenberg to many notable outlets in Germany and the UK, but currently Bayern Munich want Christopher Nkunku, and at the moment reports have been revealed suggesting that we have held talks over the possible availability of Mathys Tel as we have made inquiries for the young attacking player. But to start with things, let's focus on Nkunku first, then we end on Mathys Tel, because at the moment, Bayern, their director in Erbal, they want him for this season. It's a surprise though. A lot of Bayern fans may be like, I thought we were going to go for Florian Wirtz next summer. I thought we were going to go for Lookman. We need a winger. We need that type of profile in the team. But it does seem like Bayern believe that Nkunku is a great option for them. Nkunku has already said yes, and courtesy of Florian Plettenberg, Nkunku has already agreed verbal terms with Bayern Munich. Nkunku has realized that there is no space for him to play here, and literally Maresca reiterated the same facts yet again for like the second or third time this season by suggesting that due to Cole Palmer, it's hard to fit in Nkunku and it's hard to fit in Joao Felix. Nkunku has his own personal ambitions. He wants to become part of that French World Cup squad in 2026, so he has to play, and Bayern Munich provides an incredible opportunity for him to be able to compete at the highest level, of course, as he's entering his prime years, and he's going back to a league that he already knows inside and out. Now, Plattenberg reveals that Bayern want Nkunku regardless of any operations that would potentially see Mathys Tel coming our way, and they want to sign him on a permanent deal. No loans. They're here to keep Nkunku. Plattenberg reveals that Bayern just included Tel in the deal as an idea to maybe make the transfer a bit easier, and I guess that could potentially offset costs, of course, if Tel did agree upon signing for us and coming the other way. That was interesting to see how Nkunku could fit at Bayern. Maybe Kane up front, Nkunku behind, Musiala on the left side, Odyssey on the right side. You know, crazy things have happened. But the fact that Bayern want Nkunku on a permanent deal and that verbal agreements have already been reached with the player, that should probably excite our directors, because we potentially are getting in significant income now, and we can redistribute that back into bringing in more recruitment for the 1000th time. So now we focus the next big part on discussing Mathys Tel, because at the moment there are these exploratory talks around a potential swap deal, but swap deals are incredibly difficult to pull off because it needs every single person involved to be on the same wavelength, to want the same things, and that never tends to be the case in this game. Mathys Tel recently had conversations with Vincent Kompany, saying that he wants to fight for his position, he wants to make it at Bayern Munich. He isn't the only Bayern youngster, the fullback in Asnu as well. Bayern are trying to push him out on loan. He wants to remain and fight for his spot. So if the player doesn't agree to sign for us, nothing can go through. But at least it's reassuring to know that even if that never happened, Bayern still have the money to explore signing Nkunku on a permanent deal. At the moment, it would seem like we would have to make a very big charm offensive to persuade Tel to sign for us. You think it could be simple, right, if we promise him minutes as a number 9? Because maybe it's just time to share my thoughts and opinions, but Tel was a super talent. I think one of the reasons why Tel really got fast-tracked play at this level so fast is that physically he had everything right. And I hope you guys can kind of envision what I'm saying, but he has that type of like body mass, you know, similarity that R9 would have, you know, like, you know, 6 foot, stocky, not too lanky, not too thin, but, you know, physically, you know, you're about, you can assert yourself, you're not getting bullied off the ball. And it's almost as if he has the body of someone in his 20s as a teenager already. Will Tel still have the same energy to remain at Bayern now, knowing that they're already looking to sign Christopher Nkunku? Because once he comes, that essentially says goodbye to any possible minutes for Tel this season, because already the minutes he's got this season compared to his time under Thomas Tuchel, you can't compare it. In nearly 11 appearances, only 2 starts. The others have been 9 sub appearances. He's got no goals, he's got no assists, and he's actually regressed as the season's gone on because he's been suffering out there. He's been played as a left midfielder and left winger. That's not necessarily his best position, even though he can play there, and even though he was used there at times under Thomas Tuchel, but he was seen as the next big striker talent in France. That's a position he wants to play in. When people talk about Tel, you still think about him as a number 9. So unless we're really offering him that competition striker role alongside Nicholas Jackson, then I wonder if we could have something go through, because lesser clubs like Villarreal and many others, they've expressed intent on signing Tel on loan. And listen, if we don't agree anything for Tel, Bayern would probably still be open to allowing Tel to leave out on loan. But it's also kind of interesting because, listen, and technically Nkunku's like our leading top scorer, even though it feels like his goals have no calories, to be honest, because they all came in very, very easy games. At least he's shown that he has that experience that could have possibly been something we could have turned to more often. And I find it curious that we could be signing or hope to sign is the correct way to say this, hope to sign a youngster who is still 19, he won't be 20 until April, but hasn't had things easy, hasn't had much form to even back himself up with this season. And for him to maybe come in, potentially fight for a spot alongside many other attacking players in the squad, and then also help us try and secure Champions League football for next season, it's a big, tall order, right? Listen, on one hand, I get it, Mykhailo Mudryk, I just envision the fact that his ban is going to be pretty big. I think the club are kind of preparing for a future away from Mudryk already. Sad that he's going out in this type of, disappointing manner. But I guess you could say what's even sadder is this like never-ending recruitment model that we're doing. The cynical part of me feels like, the directors are just securing their long-term positions here by just finding something to do in windows now. Listen, from a business point of view, I get it. If you're basically signing players and, if they don't work out, instead of like waiting 2-3 years to move them on, get rid of them instantly. Even if you sign them in the summer, they still have hype and market awareness around them. Right now is probably the best time to recoup your losses and then use that money that you earn from that sale towards someone else. I get it. But if I was like a Brighton fan or something, maybe that's something that could at least soften the blow when I see big talents leaving us. And, seeing talents that stop your team's development, right, and potential. But the fact that we keep finding ourselves in this like plateau, because it kind of feels like a plateau in the sense, you signed an Nkunku. He was the big marquee buy when you said Havertz was gone, Mason Mount was gone, and out from nowhere, instantly, he's set to be out the door. And there was no long-term foresight in the move, considering the fact that the manager in Maresca, sadly, can't even find a place for him in the squad. Like, what's that saying about what the recruitment at the top's doing right now? Is it necessarily buying what's best for the manager? Is there a conversation that maybe there has to be a bit of a balance now between the manager and the director's needs now? Maybe, because I don't know, I get a bit bored sometimes having to cover some of these stories when I think to myself, listen, Tel, exciting prospect, yeah, 6'1", dynamic, versatile across all positions. He's got that air for something spectacular with his like efforts outside the box or solo dribbles, ability to take his man on. Yeah, of course, very exciting, but then it means nothing if these guys don't get proper access to minutes, and if there's no like proper foresight behind their development in the team. And we've seen a million examples already in Nkunku. Flipping Renato Vega literally just came 6 months ago. He just sat so many of these guys already immediately out the door. I think to myself, in the long term, if we don't find success on the field by recruiting in this way, we potentially just put off players in the future where you think to yourself, what am I really coming to Chelsea to do? Where, listen, no matter how good I am, things can just be outside my control, and I could be kicked out and moved on just like that, because they don't really seem to care about the players unless you're really that spectacular. Everyone seems to have a price, everyone can get flipped and sold on, and this like conveyor belt of players coming in, players coming out, it just never seems to be ending right now. Let's see what happens with this story. Of course, everything is still at the infancy. Don't be telling yourself that we are set to sign Mathys Tel. Don't be doing that to yourself. Is he the right profile? I get it, he fits two roles. He can play left wing and up front at times. But equally at the same time, a lot of us feel there's a bit more experience needed now. Do we go for a more classic number 9 who has more of a physical edge and profile? Something a bit different to what we have already. Is signing more potential to mix up with the other potential we have? Are we just going to be potential FC forever? At what point are we going to see the development? At what point are they even going to have time to even develop? I mean, that's where I am right now, but maybe that's just needy talking, from the mindset of it being over 12 a.m. in the morning. I'm already feeling pretty tired. Maybe that's why I'm feeling a little cynical. I don't know, man, but you share your thoughts and opinions on this story. How you guys feeling about this? Let us know below. I guess just to end things, I want to feel some assurance now that there's a bit of a master plan, that it's not just opportunistic moves left, right and center. I feel like we've done enough of that right now. I'd rather wait for the summer to go for like concrete needle movers instead of just opportunistic buys because technically you can balance out all this recruitment incomings and outgoings on the books, right? And as long as it looks good on the books, that's all that matters. Listen, if you're on the financial side, yeah, but can a football team that's ready to challenge for honours and be this next big global superpower, is that an approach that's going to lead us there anytime soon? That's the curious thing, right? Because realistically, you know, what is the utility when you have a club like us? We're fortunate enough to be challenging for honours. You're literally in the business. You've invested into this business to win things on the field, right? And sometimes it doesn't always feel like that is the key goal. It's interesting, but yeah, you guys leave your thoughts and opinions on these incredible stories today. So that's it, my friends. There are more reports, but I don't want to be making a 20+ minute video. I'm going to upload those other videos for tomorrow instead, so stay tuned. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys all tomorrow for match day. Cool.